I love collage and I love experimenting. We're going to do a little bit of both. So today I'm going to try and experiment with gold leaf. Now I've done gold leaf before with collage, combined with collage, and I've always been careful to collage around the gold leaf and not try to attempt the gold leaf on top of the collage. So I want to try to put it just on top of the collage just to see if I like the way it looks. Maybe too lumpy, we'll see. So this is just a deep cradle board from Blick. It's just plain wood, so I really need to seal it really well with 2 layers of gesso. I use a sponge brush so I don't get any brush strokes, and 2 coats should do it, so it looks pretty good. So I always start my collage by finding some papers, planning my color palette. And, you know, this is all pretty much the same except for the black. I always add some black for contrast. So I found this other paper that had some bright color and I think complements the other papers well. So I'm still not sure exactly what I'm going to do and how I'm going to make this all come together. But I start by tearing and cutting. And that one piece that's on the bottom and on the top is actually the same sheet. I just tore it down the middle sort of randomly, and then I liked the way it looked on top. Now I had this circle that I was like itching to use, and then decided, forget it. Forget it. Doesn't work. Maybe because the line of it didn't really complement the circles and this flowy pattern that we've got going on. Okay, so I'm pretty much happy with the background so far, but I realize it needs something else, and I'm, you know, just thinking. I'm definitely going to use that down towards the bottom to add some contrast. Not exactly sure how yet, but I figure, you know, that this greenish white paper is definitely a must that's going to go down at the bottom, so I'm going to adhere that to the board and at least get started. So I use Gel Medium by Liquitex. It's a gloss gel medium. It's my favorite. My brush is really too small, but and it had a little bit of black on it, so that's why I wiped that off. Anyway, you need to make sure you get enough gel medium down, especially around the edges. And then use a catalyst wedge to get out all the bubbles and really get it down there. Reinforce all the edges. The thing I really love about the rice paper is that this little tiny fibers that sort of just blend into the board, and or especially when you're putting paper on top of paper, they kind of blend into each other. It's a really soft edge. So I didn't like working with rice paper at first, but I'm really, you know, since I've been doing a lot of jelly printing on rice paper, been using it more and more, and I'm starting to love it. So I always put a layer of gloss medium on top of the paper as well, really sealing it well. So I like to combine torn edges with hard edges. So this one I decided, because it had all these circles and these real sort of curvy lines to it, I made it the hard edge. But then this one really needed to be bolder, and that one has the torn edge as well. Whenever you use a sharp edge, you really have to make sure it's straight. So I'm also going to put this deli paper, black splattered deli paper at the bottom. I decided maybe I wanted to do like a little strip of this other paper at the very bottom. I wanted to see what that looked like. But then I decide not. No, doesn't need that. So I'm happy with this so far, but until I really make other decisions, I don't want to glue anything down. And I love how the deli paper, how you could see the colors underneath, especially after I glue it down. Really goes almost transparent. So like I said, you have to make sure it is straight. So I always keep this little 12-inch T-square here. So I just anchor it with one little spot, and then I start to add the rest of my gel medium to really glue it down. I also always reinforce the edges. For some reason it dries quicker there. I don't know why, but on the edges I always make sure I have a little bit of extra medium. And again, on top, we have the added benefit of it sealing our paper. And since I'm not using anything that could smear or that's water soluble, I don't really have to worry about ruining the surface of anything. I'm just using acrylic paints here. Now, if you are using any kind of oil pastel or regular pastel or watercolors, you might need to seal that before you try to use it in collage, especially if you're going to be putting gel medium over the top. I absolutely love this paper. I love the colors. It's so bold. Okay, so now I have to trim off my edges after it dries. So sorry, I somehow wasn't recording this, but I have some mulberry paper that I tore some pieces and stuck it to the top. It does need trim after it dries, but I needed something up there to sort of break up that white and green area. That's the mulberry paper that I use. I cannot find it there. They do have a burgundy version of that on Amazon, but I haven't been able to find it in black. I'll have to look somewhere else. But I bought it in person at a Blick store, local Blick store. So I'm making sure I'm going to use this roll of tape to create my circle, and I needed to make sure that it was like right smack in the middle. And I just traced around it with a light gray marker, and now I'm going to black gesso the center of that circle. And that's where my gold leaf's going to be. And hopefully, because now we've also got deli paper, so we have 2 layers of paper in that one spot where the deli paper is. So I'm thinking it might be a little lumpy, but I want to see. That might actually look cool. I am working on this larger collage that is going to have very large circles, and I just wanted to see if this is a quick way of working, or should I really just be careful to collage around the circle and keep the plain wood where the leaf is going to be. So that's why I do these small experiments to see if I'm happy with the results of something, if it's actually makes an improvement, or if it's like, definitely not, we should not do it this way. We don't know until we try. So that's why I am doing this small one. And, I'm happy with the way this is coming out anyway. So whether or not I think it's ruined after I do the gold leaf, we shall see. So now I just have to wait for the gesso to dry. All right, so I use Frisket when I do this. I want to mask out the areas where I don't want the gold leaf. This is just an added step that I think helps. It really helps a lot. So I just nick the corner a little bit and peel back the backing. And this is just a little bit tacky. It does not stick to the paper. It does not ruin my collage. And I use my little scoop, my little, what do you call it? I can't think of it right now. It's not my catalyst wedge. It's a harder plastic one. And I just burnish it down. I guess that's a burnisher. And now I'm just going to carefully go around my circle with my knife and cut out my circle. And see, I could already see it's a bit lumpy under there. So I don't know if I'm going to like the gold leaf on top of that, but we've already committed to this, so let's keep moving. Okay, so now that my circle is masked out, I'm going to use this. This is a gilding glue, gilding size, whatever you want to call it. And I use a soft brush to brush it on. And I work it to kind of get a little smoother. And I'm making sure that where my mask, my frisket ends, that it kind of seals around that edge as well. So now I have to wait for this to dry about 20 minutes. Most of the time, it only takes 10 minutes, but it's somewhere between 10 minutes and 20 minutes. And you could tell when you touch it, it should be just a little bit tacky, but not wet. And like right now, it's looking very milky white, and now it is not. There's just one little tiny spot that's still a little milky. Anyway, that was the gold leaf that I use. It's called Old World. And I am using freezer paper to have a sheet cling. I usually use wax paper, but I didn't have any. See that little spot right there? It looks like it's wet. But I touched it and it doesn't feel wet, so I'm going to just move on. But the rest of it feels just that little bit of tack that I need, that little tacky feeling. And I'm going to use my soft brush, and I use these other two coarser brushes to pull off what I don't want. So I always keep both of them handy. Okay, so this is the freezer paper, and it clings nicely to it. Actually, I think better than the wax paper, so I think I'm going to use freezer paper in the future. I'm always going to stick with that. So as you can see, it stuck really nicely. It helped me control that leaf, which is very delicate and flies all over the place. I will say, if you're doing this, turn off any ceiling fans. And see how I get like that really nice sharp edge? There was just one little spot where I had a little bit of a nick. I always try to keep my little leftovers. So now I got my coarser brush, and I can go across the edge and pull the leaf off. And see, it does look lumpy.
but it looks okay. So if you haven't seen like what a book of leaf looks like, this is a brand new book that I just got, and it's got paper in between every sheet. And I always keep it back in the original packaging to keep it neat. And so it looks a bit lumpy. So I'm probably not going to do it this way, but this was a good experiment.
Anyway, thanks for stopping by today, and I hope you enjoyed my little experiment. I think the collage still looks really good. All is not lost. Don't forget to create, inspire, and share, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.